we have deviated from the very lessons of the natures. Why are we assembling this house? This house here is bigger and better than individual component of it. This tiles, this wall, the ceiling, that light individually are not as useful. But when they come together in a form of a house, it becomes a place that we can inhabit in, we can live in. If we follow this way of reconstruction of nature that is useful materially, because we're all visual things, and visually we know how to do this, it's easier. But when it comes to intangible things, we want to put ourselves together to create a social power. That's where we fail, most of us. Canada is blessed, and Australia and the United States partially, some of the Western countries, to a certain extent. Not ideal by far. I'm going to explain that later, what I think of Canada should be. But it's way better that you can see a lot of people in Canada, individually you can see, they are not as capable as the government of Canada itself. The government of Canada, elected by people, is a unit that is much more powerful, much more intelligent, more resourceful, and its decision is not hasty as just a person. Therefore, you could say, okay, election of such government, as such society, is useful to the people. But if it wants to be like the government of Iran, and that's sort of a chaotic pattern, it's like throwing a component into a goney bag and you say, okay, we have a government. It won't be. You can't use all the component of this house and put it in a big bin and say it's a house. It's not. It's trashed. What does not make it trash is that design, that plan. So the old cultures are doomed to die, all of them. Because the time of metamorphosis has come. And trying to cling and, put your hand onto these differences in the cultures and habits to differentiate yourself, and giving these superficial values as a component to create, an integrated society, it won't. I want it to die out. To lose. So this is one of the diagnostics of Baha'u'llah, about habits that we have and how they are created and what should we do to change some of them and be approaching it scientifically. Baha'u'llah says excessive of a speech is a deadly poison. I better stop and not to talk too much. I seem to can talk forever. Next time I'm going to talk about another bad habit. This is a religious habit. Oh my God. These religious habits, which they used to be sometimes laws and order or ordinances. They were useful. But the usage is gone, and right now we're empty shells. People practicing them, but nothing comes out of it. It has become their habits. They're habituated, they can't get rid of it. It's a big problem. When I was in Iran, I turned to the Baha'i faith when I was at age 18. I said, my God, when I say myself, who is self? This is me. So much of me is written by everybody else. The geographic background that has made my skin my color, my mother and father that contributed to my genes, how I look. I didn't decide about it. And my society that has created all these mentalities in me. And now I have found out, lo and behold, I'm a Baha'i, I'm not a Muslim. What do we do? You know what was the hardest things to do? You have to be an Iranian in a culture, hard culture, to understand what I'm saying. Is to reach to people, to other Baha'is, and don't use the word salam. Salam is a greeting. Don't say salam. Baha'is in Iran don't say salam. they say Allahu Akbar. It was very hard. It just felt superficial. It felt, why do we have to change the words? But I knew it. That is why it has changed. Because it is difficult for us to do. A simple habit of saying to each other salam, it's a doorway to a lot of wrong things on the back. You want to put a lid on it, change it to Allahu Akbar. So I said, tomorrow I'm going to change to say only Allahu Akbar. That's it. The word will always, in the West, we use, oh Jesus, Jesus, Jesus this, Jesus that. Persian, they say, the name of their own saint. Iranian, always they say, Ya Ali, which means, oh Imam Ali, like, it's an accent. For help, for awe, or something. So I changed it. I said, I'm not going to say tomorrow Ya Ali, I'm going to say Ya Baha. And that's the only word ever I decided to do. I found out these superficial, simple habits that we have, they look innocent, but it's a lead. You get into it, you go to the route and the road and the places, but very unpleasant. Connected to the places you don't want to do it. So there is a very serious wisdom in this. That why the simple word gets changed. People at the time of Muhammad, they were all praying towards Holy Land. That's all they knew, because those days there were Jews and Christians, everything was Holy Land. At the time of prayer, as Muhammad was towards the Holy Land, he just turned his face towards Mecca. The people behind him, they were praying, they're all gone. The habit changed. So that day it was proven that these people are not his followers. They're following their habits. The moment a habit changed, they changed. All the religion was nothing but habit. So how could God not to change when he knows, when you say, I am Muslim, this and that, you are really not. This is why Muhammad changed, because he wanted to change these people, and he knew these are the ingredients to transfer them from one point to another. This has happened in all the religion before, like circumcisions of the Jew, Jesus is important, or Sabbath. Yeah, you can work in Sabbath. What's the difference to work in this day or other day? It's so important that he could not confirm the Jews at the time, because they were doing a lot of wrong things. They were lying, they were materialistic, they were vicious, and they had these customs as well. Okay, how do you tell them that to change? He said, for one thing, we will not follow those traditions that you do. Separate himself. This is why Romans, they could come in. And the Jews could not say, hey, you're a follower of me. Jesus said, no, they don't follow you, because you think religion is just a Sabbath. No, it's not. It's bigger than that. So this tradition changes. It's happened in all the religion. It has a great, great, great meaning. I just touched the surface. Believe me. The machinery of my mind, if it wants to think about this, I will come up with a lot of other things. But let me just say a little bit, and maybe the next person comes, that would be you that listening, to add more to it, to see what are the wisdom in these little changes that we do. That sometimes people say, is that all the really God comes in, baha'u'llah comes in only to change this and that, to just say to salam, to say Allahu Akbar. For just this change of these two words, we have to die in Iran? No, it's not that. It's in a string. It's like pulling somebody's clothes. It's falling. If you grab his clothes, which is not him, it's not really him when you get his clothes. But if you get this, you're making him not to fall into the ditch. These traditions are like that. They're the things that we are wearing. It's not us. It has nothing to do with the spiritual values. But it's what we're wearing, what we're, it's an ornament, social ornament. It has to be changed, it has to be grabbed and gone around. Okay, dokie. It's still Christmas Day, so Merry Christmas to everyone, even those who are not Christians. Why not? And we'll talk tomorrow night, hopefully, if I'm alive, about these religious habits that has been bothering me all my life. Let's talk about this and let's see what are the steps, huge diagnostic of Baha'u'llah, that how he wants to change to make the society to go better way, naturally. So, may God be with you, may Baha'u'llah grace of God to be with you. We'll talk later. Thank you.